Welcome to this instructional video on setting up your digital workspace. We will be briefly discussing several topics that will help you get a solid start to the typing of your thesis. Note that this video uses a Windows environment to demonstrate the principles, but I do hope that even Mac users will find the basic principles instructive. This lesson is split into two videos, although there is understandably some overlap. This video, part 1, is about configuring the actual physical and digital workspace for maximizing productivity. But make sure you see part 2 as well, which deals with the basic software preparation you need to do in order to start out on a solid footing. The first thing we want to look at is setting up your physical workstation. Remember that you are going to be spending a lot of time at your workstation typing your thesis. This is a document that you are going to be working on in most cases for the next few years, so make sure you're ready for it. Right from the outset, you want to make sure that you have your ergonomics right. Check that you have a good chair to sit on and that your desk is right. Of course, many people believe sitting is the new smoking, so you might consider a standing desk, but that is not a topic I'm going to get into now. I'm fully aware that many students and even lecturers don't have the luxury of just being able to go out and buy anything they fancy. First, a very comprehensive list of ergonomic guidelines can be found at Cornell University's Ergonomics website. You can also see an informative visual display of good ergonomics at the United States Department of Labor's Computer Workstations eTools page. One program that I really love is Workrave. This little program reminds you to break periodically. You can set the times yourself, and so helps reduce the possibility of repetitive stress injuries and also eye strain. Of course, the big problem is having the self-discipline to not just keep working when the Workrave prompt pops up, but it really is in your own interest to develop that discipline. Remember, your thesis is a marathon, not a sprint. Another program that I really like is Flux. It changes the color of your screen at night to cut out that blue glow that hurts your eyes and apparently makes it harder for you to switch off your brain at night when you want to go to sleep. And remember that if you are a typical PhD student, you'll be doing a lot of thesis writing at night. You know, when the dishes are done and the kids and your spouse are all fast asleep. The next thing I want to touch on is your screen setup and screen layout. This will obviously vary a lot for different people, but I want to give you just some basic guidelines. If you can, I would really recommend using 2 monitors. If you can just eliminate the time spent jumping between application windows and also eliminate the distraction that results from having to do that, it will, over time, represent a huge increase in productivity. This is a photo of my own workstation. As you can see, I have a simple monitor plugged into my laptop, and my laptop itself is raised on a cooling platform so that the 2 screens are at about the same height. Then I have an additional ergonomic keyboard plugged in, which is much better for typing than the laptop keyboard. However, even if you do not have the luxury of 2 screens, you can very often, if you have a large enough single monitor, work as if you have 2 screens. So this demonstration shows how I can position 2 application windows on a single monitor so that they can each share half of the screen space. I have an article open delay which will be discussed later in this video, and I might want to write something in Word about the article. So I can use the Windows key and left arrow keyboard shortcut to put the Mendeley window on the left half of the screen, and then position the Word window on the right half of the screen. Note that Windows 10 prompts me automatically for this, but I can also do it later manually with Windows key and right, or if I'm not using Windows 10, I can still use Windows key and right. Regardless of whether you have 1 or 2 monitors set up, you should learn these Windows keyboard shortcuts to help you position your application windows easily. Windows key and right will let the window fill the right half of the screen, and Windows key and left will let the window fill the left half of the screen. Windows key and up arrow will maximize the window, and Windows key and down arrow will restore the window. If you do have 2 monitors, then the Windows key and shift and right arrow will move the application window to the right monitor, and Windows key and shift and the left arrow will move it to the left monitor. You can also use the Windows key and E to open Windows Explorer, the Windows key and M to minimize all open windows, or the Windows key and D to show the desktop, which has essentially the same effect as Windows key and M. You can switch between the open applications using Alt and Tab, and reverse direction using Alt, Shift and Tab. And if you're using Windows 10, you can go to Task View and switch between virtual desktops using the Windows key and Tab, but I will not delve deeper into that topic in this video. Two last keyboard shortcuts that will help you get started each morning even quicker than a cup of coffee. If you have applications pinned to your taskbar, you can open them quickly by pressing the Windows key and the number corresponding to their position on the taskbar. You will quickly learn to associate the number with the application. You can type as in 0 for the 10th application, but you can only do the first 10 applications in this way. If the application is already open, then this keyboard shortcut will activate or minimize the application. If the application has multiple windows open, you can cycle through the open windows by holding down the Windows key and pressing that number repeatedly. So here you can see that Excel is my third application on the taskbar, so if I press Windows and 3, Excel opens. You can also see that I have Word already open, and if I press Windows and 4 once, the first Word document I have open is displayed, and if I keep the Windows key down and press 4 again, the second is displayed, and so on. This is just a quick demonstration of the Shift F5 keyboard shortcut. When you are working in a Word document, it remembers the last 5 places you have been editing. So if you need to go back to some place to see what you wrote somewhere early in your document, and you then want to go back to where you were typing, just press Shift and F5. But it has another nice usage. When you open your document for the first time and want to go back to where you were typing where you stopped previously, just press Shift and F5 and it will take you to that one last edit of your document. Now you can get started each morning a lot quicker. Next, we want to look at how you can organize and store your thesis information on your computer. The first thing you want to do is create a folder structure for storing your thesis. You will decide for yourself what the structure should look like, but I think at the very least you should have folders for your thesis and its template, and also all its backups, for your research articles, and perhaps for your data, ethics approval and protocol files, and so on. I am using the Ctrl-Shift-N keyboard shortcut to make these new folders. We will return to some of these folders later. Just to touch on the topic of the thesis itself, my recommendation is that you not save your thesis in a bunch of separate files, for example one file for each chapter, but rather save the whole thing as one single document. I will demonstrate 1 or 2 tricks in this regard in a moment, and I discuss this topic in much more detail in my book Doing Your Dissertation with Microsoft Word. But just know that you will actually be saving yourself a world of trouble if your thesis is in one document and you make regular backups. Which brings me to the topic of backups. First, if you have a master folder with subfolders like this, it makes backups quite easy, as making a backup of the whole folder stores everything. Second, you can make use of cloud storage like OneDrive, Google Drive, SugarSync, Dropbox, or one of the many alternatives out there, but I'm far too paranoid about losing work to make that my only backup. Think what would happen if somebody hacked your account and you lost that backup. Third, if you use a physical backup drive, make sure that it's not the only backup either, and that it is not routinely stored together with your computer. I've heard of more than one person who has lost their computer and the backup during a theft because both were in the same bag. Personally, I use 2 of these USB external hard drives. I leave one in the office and the other at home, and I try to routinely make a backup of my system to either of these drives every other week. That way, even if there is a theft or a fire at one of those places, the other should be safe. And that high note, courtesy of Mendeley, brings us to the end. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more information, please visit my author page on Amazon or visit my blog, where I post more information and resources. Good luck with your thesis. Thank you for watching this first video in the 2-part instruction on setting up your digital workspace. Don't forget to watch the second video about the software preparation you want to do. It's arguably more important than what I have discussed in this first video.